Being a software tester, why do you write test cases? Because you write test cases because you want to make sure that out of many test cases, out of all the possibilities of test cases you have written, some test cases should be able to catch some defects, and finally you can tell developer that you should fix it, and without fixing it your software cannot go into production. So you write test cases because you want to make sure that in a particular software I am covering all the scenarios to test it. In a similar way, developers use if and else statement. Because testers are testing the software for all the scenarios, developers are writing, or you can say they are handling each and every scenarios using if and else statement. I hope I am very much clear. Welcome to the new video, guys. Today we are going to talk about if and else statement in Java. So guys, talking about if and else statement in Java, so let's say guys, whenever you're trying to book a flight, let's say you select a particular flight, you enter all the passenger details, whoever is going to take a flight, and all the contact details, and then finally you choose a payment method and you finally book it. This is a straightforward case. But what about if you just select the flight, you are entering the package detail, and you no longer want to go to the payment page, but you want to come to the search page again. This no scenarios happen, right? So in that case, developers write if and else statement. They use if or else statement because in an application there are multiple scenarios possible, and to handle each and every particular scenarios, developers use if or else statement. Not only in development but also in automation. When you write, being an automation engineer, when you are writing any automation script, you have to have a knowledge of if and else statement, because there are multiple scenarios that may come, like if this particular scenarios are happening, you need to follow this logic. If these are not particular scenarios are happening, you need to follow this logic. Or if these and all scenarios are happening, you need to follow this logic. So under each and every if or else statement, your logic will be written that it want to do. Let's say when I have to give an example, you are saying that the user, the number which he is entering is even. That time you need to print it's an even number. Or when a customer is entering odd number, you want to print an odd number. In that case, you can use if or else statement. Example, if user is entering odd number, print it is an odd number. If user is entering even number, print even number. This is just an example I'm giving you so that to make you guys understand it. In a particular application, lot of scenarios are possible. Let's take an example of a Flipkart application where you guys are selecting the things which you want to buy it. Finally you wish list it, you add it to the cart, and finally instead of making payment, you are finally going to the search page again to see the various products, and finally you want to add that product also to your cart. So in that case, developer will use if or else statement, because how much ever being a company or being the product owner, how much ever I make sure that customer will use the product based on how I want it, no, that won't happen. Customer will use the software how he want it. To make sure that our software does not break into the production, developers have to use if or else statement in order to cover all kind of scenarios, to make sure that their software is capable of handling each and every scenarios. And finally the testers, when they are testing it, they need to make sure that they are writing test cases for each and every particular scenarios, and they test it. In case of getting any bug, they raise it to the developer should fix it. Let's go ahead now and show you guys how if and else statement finally works. And after this is over, I'm going to write a program for you guys in a computer and show you guys how if and else statement really works in real life. So in if else statement, if your condition is true, then it should execute the if block statement. And in case your condition is not true, which is false, in case your condition is false, then it should execute the else block statement. Now let's go ahead to make you guys understand how if else statement generally works. So while writing any code, you can write if, and you can give the condition whatever you want to give. Any condition you can give. I can give condition as if 2 is greater than 1. Any condition you want to give. Like while writing a code, you will be knowing what scenario you want to execute, right? If this is the condition, then you will say execute this part. So this is one of the way by which you can write if statement. So this is one of the way. Other than this, you can write if or else statement. Example, you are telling that if the entered number, whatever the number you are entering, let's say I am assigning it as n, if the number you are entering is equal to 2, execute this part. Your logic will be here. If this is not true, then you should go for else part. Else, execute this logic, which will be written under else. So while writing a program, this is your condition which you have given. If the n is the number which you will be entering or user will be entering. So you are telling that if the entered number is equal to 2, if it is true, then you are telling execute this part. In this part, your logic will be written. Inside this, your logic will be written that you want to perform. And in case the entered number is not equal to 2, it is, let's say it is 1 or 3 or maybe it is 1 lakh, that time you are telling execute this part. So this is one way of writing your if-else statement. And there is one more way by which you can write if-else statement. It is like you are telling if this is the condition, whatever the condition you want to give. If it is true, execute this part. Else if your condition is this, then execute this part. Else if your condition is this, then execute this part. If nothing, that means else, execute this part. So this is one way of writing your if-else statement in which you are having multiple options. You are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe you have multiple options. You have multiple scenarios that can happen. In that case, what you can do is you can write if your condition, if that is true, you want to execute this part. If not this, then you want to say that if this, then execute this block of statement. So you cannot write multiple if statement. If you have more number of scenarios, more number of if statement if you have, you need to write one if and one else. In between you can have multiple if-else statement. Each statement, each condition which is like else, if, it will work as a condition. It will check it. It will only execute if that is true. That means if 1 is greater than 2, which is not right, it will go to the else if part. If 2 is greater than 3, which is not right, it won't go inside this block of statement. It will go to the third part, which is this. If 2 is greater than 1, which is true, it will execute this part. So this is how execution takes place. Now let's go to the fourth way of explaining how if-else statement you can actually write it. So the fourth way of writing if-else statement is something like you are giving a condition and you are telling that if this condition is true, then come inside a if-else block. That means if this condition is true, then come inside and check this condition. If this is true, if this condition is true, execute my this block of statement. If this condition is not true, then execute my else part. And you are closing this if block. And next you are writing else. Guys, this is also called as nested if condition. What you guys are doing is, you are giving an if condition and you are telling that check whether this condition is true or not. In case that condition is true, it will go inside this if or else. It will check for this if condition. If this condition is true, then it will execute this block of statement. In case this is not true, that time it will execute this else part. Suppose while checking this if condition, this is returning false, or maybe this condition is not matching. That time suddenly it will come out of this if total block and execute this else part. So this is called as nested if, where you are having a if else statement inside a if block. So these are the four ways of writing your if else statement. There is no condition of if else statement where you can be asked in an interview to write it other than this what I have taught you guys. Now let's go ahead and execute program in a computer to make you guys understand thoroughly. So inside the main method, you remember the first method which I taught you, that is if, and now you're writing a condition. After condition, in condition you're just telling that if 2 is greater than 1. If that is true, then you are telling that, then print something, that is system.out.println, and inside that you're telling them to print that I am Manish, maybe. So that's it. You are just using one if statement, that is the first if block which I showed you the before part of this video. So you're just telling that if this is true, execute this. So your condition is only this much. And guys, one more thing which I didn't say you in first part of the video, like if you're writing a if statement and after that you need to execute a single line of statement, that time writing the brackets, that is opening of bracket and closing of bracket, is not required. In case you have any kind of doubt, you can always use it, but what I'm saying is while using a single statement, so if you're writing if 2 is greater than 1 and printing I am Manish, it's a single statement, right? In that case, writing that bracket is not at all required. You run it and your output is I am Manish. So this is the first block of statement. So this is the first way of writing your if statement. Now coming to if and else. If 2 is greater than 1, execute that part, or else you execute this. I am, let's say, Mohan. So if you print this, so you have already given that if 2 is greater than 1, which is like we all know that 2 is greater than 1, right? So you will always get I am Manish. But let's change it to if 2 is less than 1. So you know that 2 is not less than 1, and in that case your I am Manish will not going to be print out. What is going to be print out is I am Mohan. If you just run it, you're going to get as I am Mohan. So this is the second way of writing your if else statement. Now let's go ahead and talk about the third way of writing a if else statement. So the third way of writing is if, else if, how many number of times you want it, and then finally else. So as I have said in the previous part of the video, always you should have one if and one else. In between that you can have n number of else if conditions. So else if, and then you're going to give it some conditions, and then finally you're going to say else, and then you're going to print something. Maybe you're going to print this time something different. So here if you see, your first condition is if 2 is less than 1, which is wrong. So it will come out of that block and it will go for else if statement, and we'll see whether 2 is greater than 1 or not, which is true. So it will execute I am Mohan. Let's say if this is also not true, and instead of this I write something like this. In that case, it will finally exclude this 2 part and finally print this part, because you know that your 2 is not less than 1, and you know that your 2 is not less than 1. You can give here anything, any condition you want to give, and so in that case finally your third part will get executed, that is I am Sanku. So this is very easy way of writing your if else statement. If, else if, else if. So here, as I said, you can write multiple else if statement. You can write here as, again, like you can write n number of statement you want, n number. You can write it. You can give multiple, like instead of the condition which I have given, you can write n number of condition you want to give. N number of condition you can give in each else if statement. You can give each different particular condition you want to give, and print word which I am printing, like I am Mohan. There you need to write a logic. to cover all the scenarios. So this is very easy way of writing your if else statement. Now let's go ahead to talk about how to write nested if statement. So for that, I will remove everything, and I have written my if statement, and as I've showed you guys, inside if statement you need to have one more if statement, and in that you need to have if, and then you need to have else. After this is done, come out of the bracket, and you need to have an else statement. See guys, don't get confused here. So I'm going to explain each and everything to you. Do not get confused. So here what you are writing is, you are writing a if statement or if condition, and in if condition you are writing a if and else condition. Inside if condition, inside that you are writing if and else. So you are telling that if this if is correct, which is if this if is correct, or if it is returning true, go to this condition. So you are checking this. If this is true, you execute this block of statement. If that is wrong, execute this block of statement. So guys, once it has entered into this block, it will either execute your if it is not executing your if block, then finally it will execute the else part. While testing the condition itself, if it is wrong, it will go to the else block of statement. So this is the way by which you can write your nested if else condition. What you are doing here is you are telling that check if 2 is greater than 1, which is always true, right? And in that case, you are telling go to this block of statement if and else, and check if 5 is greater than 1 or not, so which is always true. In that case, it will print I am Mohan always. Now let's have a logic for each and every if else block, what you need to print. So while starting to execute the program, it will check whether 2 is greater than 1 or not, which is true. You know that it will come inside this. It will check whether 5 is greater than 1 or not, which is true. So it will execute this block of statement, and it will print I am Mohan. If you run this, you're going to get as I am Mohan. But in case you just change the logic here, in this case, it will start from here and it will check whether 2 is greater than 1 or not, which is true. It will come to this part and it will check whether 5 is less than 1 or not, so it is not true. So it will come out of this and it will finally execute this part. So it will print I am Manish here. I am Manish. In case of starting your execution, if condition itself is wrong, let's say if you write this, you are checking whether 2 is less than 1 or not, which is always not true, right? In that case, it will not go in this block and it will finally print your else block, and it will print I am Abhi and I am Abhi. So I hope this was very much understandable. In case you need any program that I'm writing, put out your mail ID in the comment section. I will be forwarding each and every program that I'm writing directly to your mail account. Thank you. Thank you guys. I have tried my best to explain this topic to you. I hope you guys have understood it. In case of any doubt, I want you guys to comment out your doubt in the comment section. I will be very happy to explain each and every doubt that comes in your mind. Put out all your doubt in the comment section. I will clear all your doubt. In case you want to reach to me out, I have added my Quora account, Gmail account, Twitter account, Instagram account, all my social media account in the link description. Please check it out. Contact me anywhere. You can expect a reply in less than an hour. In case you think this video was useful, give a thumbs up to this video, subscribe to my channel Software Testing by MKT, and please share this video with any friends. Thank you.